Welcome back, guys. So, who's going to win the Six Nations 2020? What chance do the teams have? Now, first of all, I'm not going to say a team's definitely going to win or this team's definitely not going to win, etc. I look at kind of options, chances, percentages. No, pretty much everyone can win, even Italy with loads of red cards, 3 wins. It's very unlikely, but it's fun. We're looking at the chances. I'm going to tell you how I see it and how I got there with the categories I considered. This is how I see it. In the top tier, if you like, 2 teams I think have the best chance of winning it just based on my reasoning, are Wales and England. And I'll come to why in a minute. Then below them, I think France and Ireland are kind of quite close together. Second. In the third tier, I've got Scotland and below them, Italy. So that's kind of how I'm ranking it in my head. And this is how I got there. So first of all, I looked at 4 factors: form, players, coaching and the draw. And I'll put the draw up on the side. I think that is really quite important indeed. So let's have a look at England. Now last year, they were second in the Six Nations, but they only won 3 games, including Italy. They did beat Ireland away, and they beat France at home, but they lost to Wales away. Wasn't the greatest one for them. Rugby World Cup, second again. Very good play in most of the tournament, but didn't turn up in the South Africa final, which is obviously massively disappointing for them. They did, of course, get the huge win against New Zealand, one of their best performances ever, and comfortable against Australia and good in the pool. So performance-wise for the year, it's pretty strong, but yes, they didn't win anything, and you could say they choked when it mattered most. So mixed bag, generally quite good. Anyway, factor 2, the players. Their squad is pretty settled. 22 of that squad are straight from the World Cup. You know, they could just roll straight on with what they're doing and probably do quite well. They do have some new players. Some are a bit, some are a bit surprising, lacking maybe a world-class 9. They're waiting for one to emerge. You know, maybe hoping on Mitchell, etc. There are a few injuries, Billy and Noel in particular, but as far as a big injury list is concerned, that's not actually a huge injury list. So I think they're pretty well stacked on players. On to factor 3, coaching. Now Eddie's still there, so plenty of continuity. And there's some new assistant coaches in there. So I think there's quite a good mix of new and old. Mitchell's still there, Borthwick's there for now. Matt Proudfoot and Simon Amor come in. Should add loads of good new ideas. Matt Proudfoot obviously masterminded South Africa's pack, their scrum, so that should be good. So I think it's a pretty good mix of new and old coaches for England. So I think that's quite a strong factor for them. And also quite a strong factor for England, which keeps them in that top bracket of chance, is the draw, the fixtures. They play the Blues away. Italy, France and Scotland away. France is going to be very hard first up, but Italy and Scotland away are probably the ones you want to go to away if you could choose, and playing Wales and Ireland at home is the way round they'd want it, I think. So a decent draw for them keeps England up in that top tier of chances. Let's look at Wales. 2019 Six Nations Grand Slam, fantastic. Rugby World Cup, good performances, true grit, got really close. Fighting win in the quarterfinals versus France. They really had to fight to get back from that. A little bit of French implosion, of course, and then a very close loss to South Africa, the eventual winners. So they're feeling very confident, and all the comments I'm getting from Wales fans is that the form's good, the players are playing well. So absolutely, another reason why they're staying in that top bracket. Players, very stable. No big retirements yet. The big miss is Jonathan Davis, really, in the back line and in the centres. That is a potential issue. But they do have a lot of good 9s, a back row coming out of their ears. They're very well stacked indeed. So yeah, very strong in the player-wise. Coaching's obviously a question mark. Most people reckon Pivac's going to hit the ground running pretty much. He knows the players very well. A lot of the players have played under him at the Scarlets. But he is introducing new systems, new styles. How quickly that's going to happen, I don't know. And it could have a bit of just a slowing effect on their performance potentially. But we'll see. So coaching's a bit of an unknown. The draw, Italy, nice start for PVAC, can ease into the tournament. They really should win that well, but they play Ireland and England away. So they do have a slightly tougher draw than England, I believe, but all the other positive factors above that keep them in that top echelon of chances for me. Now on to Ireland. Now I put them level alongside France. Very poor form last year, we know that, and the contrast with the form in 2018, makes it look a bit worse. In recent interviews with Rory Best, what we were thinking was going on kind of was going on. Dents in confidence, things that were working, not working, a little bit of over control from Schmidt. We kind of guessed these things, it was right. So Six Nations, they were third. They won 3 games, but they lost to England at home and Wales away, which hurt. In the Rugby World Cup, they did qualify from the pools. Decent win over Scotland, but then huge loss against Japan and then absolutely smashed by New Zealand in the quarters. It's the mental scars from that form. Will it still be around? We'll see. Player-wise, only Rory Best really the major retirement, so they're very well stacked with experienced players, and they've got some really decent young players in there, like Doris Deegan. We'll see how they go. Lama potentially, or they might be injured to start with. So players that they're in good position. Coaching, they've got a new coach, but it's kind of a continuity coach with Andy Farrell, knows them very well. They have if they want to implement a more Leinster game plan, they've got plenty of Leinster players who can do that. Mike Catt's coming in, see how interesting how the attack goes. So 50-50 on the coaching. Obviously it's a new coaching ticket, as you might say. So we don't know. It could slow down performance. It could give them a lift from those mental scars. We'll see. So jury's out. Draw, positive start. They get 2 home games to start with. If they can win both of those games, Scotland, then that would be good. Scotland up first, that would be great. If they get some momentum with those 2 home games, and then potentially they've got England and France away, which are really hard, but if they've got the momentum, they've got a chance. So, I don't know, draws 50-50, but I think with the players they've got and the continuity of the coaching they've got, I'm keeping them level chance with France for now, but let me know if you think they should be above or below them. Okay, on to Scotland. Now, last but not least, form-wise, last year wasn't great. Six Nations 5th with the only win over Italy, which isn't great. But they did have that crazy good comeback half against England, which was a cool way to finish it. But in the World Cup, obviously, they went out in the pool stages with losses to Ireland and Japan. So not good form. All the potential that, many say, and indeed I say about Scotland, not happening last year. On to the players, they did get some withdrawals, some retirements, I should say. Laidlaw and Barkley and Seymour, all gone, who have been starters for them in the past. But the backline still looks stacked. The halfback's in good form. Hogg's back in good form. They need to work out their best centres, but they've got plenty to pick from. So really it all rests on those forwards. Can they step up? In hindsight, when I selected teams, I think Xander Fagerson maybe should start in the front row. Can Bradbury, Richie Cummings, Hamish Watson step up? Can they get to top form? It's a lot of unknowns, so I think that just pushes them down a little bit combined with the form. But the potential is there. I know it's a boring thing to say, but it is true. The coaching is stable, although the coaching obviously didn't do very well last year. I expect them to have learnt lessons on international rugby, winning at international level. So I hope that's a positive, that the coaching has stayed the same. I think a change at this point wouldn't have been good for Scotland. And the draw is tough. Another reason why I've put Scotland down the odds a bit is the draw is tough. They start Ireland away. That's not the sort of draw they'd want. And if they lose that, then they have to play England, even though it's at home. They could be down 2 losses straight away after those first 2 rounds. They get Italy in the middle, which I quite like because it breaks up the tournament. And then they play France at home, Wales away. That's going to be very tough. So could pick up a couple of wins, but tough to see them getting enough wins to win a Six Nations, to be honest. So I put their chances fairly low. So France last year, actually their form, they played well in patches, but their form in results wasn't that great, to be honest. They were 4th in the Six Nations with only 2 wins. They lost to England, Ireland and Wales, so the big 3, if you like, they didn't get any wins over. Rugby World Cup, sure, they played well in patches and they had a good win against Argentina, but really apart from that, no great results. Red card obviously, maybe blew it against Wales. they showed potential, but results weren't there. So it's still only a feeling potential that's carrying over from last year for them. Player-wise, it's very interesting. The squad is a new one, new captain, based largely on under-20s or under-20s that have come up through the system. 20 uncut players. How they're going to perform, they could be amazing. You know, they've got an unbelievable backline. The potential is vast, but we will see. We will see. So jury's out on the players yet, but you know, the guess is they're going to be very good. Coaching-wise, very new setup with Gautier. Sean Edwards in defence, which is absolutely fascinating. We'll see how that goes. No, Gautier's been known to fall out with players, but positive is it's a young squad. They can be his squad. He doesn't have to come in and make relationships. He can start it from the beginning. So the loyalty from the squad to him and the coaches should be there, certainly in this Six Nations, and that's not always been the case for France. And then finally, the draw, England at home. Wow, what a huge start. They won a game at home to start with. They've got England, so, you know, really tough draw. But with the blood and thunder, the new players, the new coaches, they can absolutely win that game. It's pretty much a 50-50 game, I would say, at the moment. Then they get Italy next, so they could be 2 from 2 quite quickly. Or, of course, they could get off to a loss if England, you know, play like they did last year, potentially. Anyway, great start. Looking forward to that. But, you know, in the mix of all those reasons, I'm putting them on a par with Ireland. Well, at the end of this Six Nations, maybe they would have, you know, gone up in my estimation, but we will see. Last but not least, Italy. The form last year, not good. Six Nations, no wins. Rugby World Cup out at the pool stage. Big loss against South Africa. Didn't get to play New Zealand, but I doubt they'd have won that one. So not the greatest. But in truth, Italy are a good team. They just play amongst the big boys all the time, especially in the Six Nations. So they are a little fish in a big pond, and you have to remember that. Player-wise, they've got good players. They've got 2 professional teams. They've got a decent under-20s and age group set up, but the players aren't there yet. We know that. So, you know, I can't see the players shifting Italy's fortunes this time. There is a new coach. He's an interim coach, Franco Smith. He has coached in Italy before, so he does know the setup. But Conor O'Shea gave everything to that Italy setup, and he couldn't make any difference in the short term. Let's see if some of the things he did do pay dividends in the long term. And the draw, well, to be honest, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. They don't win a lot of games. Their, you know, chances to win a home game, but they've got Wales first up. Ouch. Really, really hard. So I don't expect Italy to do a lot or win a game, particularly in this Six Nations. So they do stay bottom of the chances. Anyway, guys, that's what I think about it. Wales and England in the top chances, then Ireland and France, then Scotland, then Italy. Let me know if you agree and why, or disagree and why. And until next time, I will see you then.